I don't think you guys are gonna believe this. There's a pretty popular game between 2,000 and 5,000 concurrent players daily, and it's my favorite game on Roblox right now. In fact, I upload it every other day on the gaming channel. Robuilder Games, go subscribe because, yeah. Anyways, this game is pretty sick. It is a storage auction battle game, and I am about to make an update for it. Now, before we get too far into this, I do have to say, we're not sure if this update's going into the game. They sent me the storage unit template so I can make an update for the game. Whether it goes in there or not, we'll have to see if we can work out some sort of a deal. But guys, since Christmas is coming up, my favorite time of the year, guys, I am gonna make a limited auction. Now, this will be a two-part series because in this video, I'm making the unit itself, and then in the next one, I'll be making all the assets that we're gonna sell in the unit. Hopefully, you guys can give me some ideas in the comments. But check it out. If we go to auctions, we have all of these, which you could go to whenever you want. And then we have gem auctions, which, they're the same thing. They just cost gems. You can get better stuff. You could get worse stuff. It is what it is. But then, limited auctions. I think a Christmas one for all of December, man. Oh, I think it would be incredible. So all we have to do is festify this template. Now, I did take a little screenshot into Photoshop, and I sort of drew all over it with, everything, actually. So here's my idea. The inside of the unit will be a log cabin. The outside will have these candy cane things because I think it really breaks up the aesthetic. And then like a Christmas tree-esque wall. I guess it's really just a green wall with lights on it, but yeah, no. Now, for these little pillar guys, I want to do them candy cane. So let's drop a union and then we can paste this and look how much cleaner that looks. Absolutely incredible. Now up next, we had all of these as green. We are going to do the same one as the walls, guys. That forest green looks good to me. Another thing I wanted to do, I did this black outline in Photoshop sort of on accident, this stroke here, and I think it actually makes it pop a lot more. So we're gonna add on either a highlight or a selection box. Highlight, perfect. And now we need to change a couple things in that. Select the part. We need its fill color. Well, I guess fill is gonna be just off. And then our highlight color, we want that to be black. Not bad, but we have it set to always on top. We need to switch that to occluded. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now guys, for the outside out here, I wanted to do a nice red carpet, a pretty dark one. So we'll try this color at first, and then we're gonna try to see if we can find some sort of a good fabric. I don't know if Roblox ever updated theirs. You know, they didn't, but it kind of fits the vibe of like an ugly Christmas sweater. Maybe if we brighten it up a bit. Bro, I'm not actually too mad at it. Like, it does really festive vibe it. We're gonna keep it for now. First things first, everything is gonna be like this lightish brown sort of. Maybe this? We'll try this. And I would love to just keep using Roblox textures, but everything in the game is not textured. Most things are smooth plastic, so I do need to kind of keep that in mind. We do have a few things in the game that use textures, so maybe we can get a little crazy. I need a nice wood. That might actually work. We only need it on the top part because obviously we want it to be still optimized. And let's put this at maybe like a 0.8, 0.7. I like that. And then I think I'm gonna put this to like an 8 and this to a 12. It does stretch it out a little bit, but it kind of gets rid of the extra seam. We have one more seam right here because it's not a seamless texture. And there's a lot of glow off of it. That's because it's smooth plastic. Let's switch it to normal plastic and there will be no more glow. It'll have more of that soft aesthetic. The walls are going to be like a white, and you'll have to wait and see why. Because I think if we just do solid logs, it's going to look ugly. But if we have this sort of seeping through the logs, I think it'll look way better and a lot more cozy. And just keep a lot of color and a pretty fun game. Now, I think the ceiling can be the same as the floor. To be completely honest, we'll go ahead and copy the color of it too. Yeah, definitely not bad. I do hate that these are going different ways. So let's kind of just fix that because I don't know. No, that's ridiculous. There we go. Looks a lot better. Now we're gonna hop into Blender. We're gonna need the logs for the walls. So just a cylinder, but I do want to have a bit of dents in them to make the white like come through. It'll make more sense when I start building it. So we need the logs. We need some sort of nice fireplace. It would not be a cozy cabin without a fireplace. And the other stuff that will probably get added into the unit on the walls will be stuff that you can also get from the unit, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't if you don't play the game, but for now, let's go into Blender. We also need string lights. All right, guys, so the first thing we need is the easiest thing that we need. We're gonna grab a cylinder, turn it down to 12 sides, flip it, or I guess we'll scale it first, a little bit like that. Now we'll flip it 90 degrees, S, Y, and that's pretty much it. We're not going to do anything on the ends so we can stretch it in Studio. However, we do want to shade smooth, and I don't want to turn this up because a perfect cylinder is not really that great for a log cabin. I kind of like how this does have the seams. Now, one more thing that I want to do is add in just a couple loop cuts, just like this. And I wonder actually, I just clicked select random, and if I scale those, maybe turn proportional on, yeah, that gives it a little bit of shape. Of course, not too much. Another thing that I want to do is Alt S. This just inflates things and sort of exaggerates the shape a little bit. And then last but not least, I want to sort of rotate parts of this. And as you can see, whenever we turn this log, it's gonna look like a different log. I will say the whole thing about not messing up the ends, we kind of scuffed that. So I'm gonna just loop select all of these and then loop tools and circle, and I can kind of fix the end a little bit, just like this. Now we can move it out of the way. Now for the fireplace, I actually have a couple ideas, and it all starts with this cube. We're gonna try the easiest idea first. I do have a little bit of a reference down here. So if you catch me looking down, that is what I'm doing. Just looking at my reference. Right here, we're gonna extrude this up. We don't want it to be too tall. In fact, I think the base is too big. Move that something like this. We're gonna extrude this up, actually duplicate it, scale it, and then extrude it. Make that its own part because we're not going to want it to be affected by what we're about to do. You know what? It's not that bad. We're going to duplicate our little thing from down here, and I want to put it right on top of that and bring it in. That is going to be a nice little shelf. We could scale that in a little bit as well. And now for this. This is going to be interesting. We're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to use something called cell fracture, which I don't have turned on. Nice. Here we go. And there's a whole bunch of stuff we can edit in here. I'm not going to edit any of it, and I'm just going to hope for the best. I think overall it looks like a pretty cool fireplace. Now I'm going to get it all split up so I can color it in Studio and not have to worry about too much texture stuff. We do have our shelves. We'll keep all of those separate just so we have more options. We made this part separate so we can color it in black. That may need to go a little further back, but we'll hope for the best. We'll join all of those cube cells together, as well as edit any of them that are sort of inside the mesh. Like this one, for example. Now, the last thing that we need to make is some string lights. I have a little PNG of some string lights. All right, I switched to the normal lights and it's looking pretty good. I gotta be honest here. All right, guys, we officially have everything that we modeled into Studio, so let's start working with it. First things first, I always forget when you do something like this and like cut out, it's like windows, literally everything. Make sure you add a solidify modifier, because if you don't, you end up with this, like an awkward, just very not so fun thing. I think all of the shelves are going to be a pretty dark gray. The inside here, I want to do like a brown gray. Maybe flint? Honestly, the brown's kind of a vibe. Let's go put this in the middle and just see how it looks. Not too bad. We might run into a little bit of issues when we put the logs in, so let's move it up a little bit. Speaking of, we'll do the logs next so I can finally show you guys what the heck I was talking about. All right, let's go ahead and make those like a brown and scoot them like halfway into the wall. Now we'll duplicate, rotate it twice, and as you can see, this little like white area in between, I think it helps so much with cabin builds. We're gonna make it not as noticeable. Something like this works. We're gonna duplicate that, rotate it again, turn it twice, maybe turn it again, and as you can see, that's gonna give us a little bit different of a pattern inside the, or like in between the logs. Now we'll just duplicate these up and spin them around the rest of this unit. At first, I was fighting it, so not too much white kind of came through, but I think it looks a lot better when it does. So we are definitely gonna have these pushed in a little bit more, and that just lets a little more of the white kind of come through the walls. We definitely need a light in here, and maybe a different texture. This fireplace thing's also too dark, so we gotta figure that one out as well. All right, I got the inside looking a little bit better. I tossed a texture onto the fireplace, which definitely helped. It was just looking a bit scuffed beforehand. Next thing I want to do is move these logs so they're not interfering with the inside right there, because it just looked a little bit loggy. And I got these Christmas lights put up. I think what I'm gonna do with the lights is duplicate them, and we're gonna do one more row like this, and then I'm gonna duplicate just the string of them, and we're going to use it as not the string. We're not going to keep it black. We're either going to do white, which doesn't look that bad. I wanted to see a red. Red is not it. And then a gold. I'm kind of vibing with the gold, honestly. I think we could rock the gold. All right, this isn't looking too bad. I think one more thing I want to do is add some sort of tree-ish texture to this green wall, just to give a little bit more of a pop. Honestly, not too mad at that. Like, imagine spawning in, you have this as your unit, and then it zooms into this, which isn't too bad. It is lacking a lot of decorations, but I can't add those until I make the assets that will be sold in the unit. So for now, it's gonna look empty, because what's for sale is randomly generated. So I have to see if the owners even like this idea. If they do, we'll definitely be back for a part 2 where we make all the assets and really bring this thing fully to life, and also fix whatever we may have gotten wrong this time. All right, I decided instead of just posting a screenshot, we're gonna do something a little devious. I am gonna take a screenshot just like this, so it looks like we're in game, and I'm gonna go in Photoshop and then put the Bid Battles UI on this screenshot. We're about to just troll the whole server. One more thing we also need to do that I always forget to do, lighting. It's definitely actually a lot, maybe too bright. I'm gonna have to fix that. This better get a good reaction, because honestly, it's taking me longer than the build did. Like, this is, I've had to cut out everything. This guy's chat bubbles, this guy, all of these UI buttons. I've had to make my own little text, like, just hopefully this gets a good reaction. But there it is. Everything's done. It looks almost like it's in-game, and I'm just gonna say, bro, why is there no items? I would imagine the Discord saying something like, what auction is that? So we're about to see. All right, so was it worth spending like 10 to 15 minutes photoshopping that? No, like the whole server's pretty much asleep, or just said, what auction is that? Which I guess is kind of funny, but it definitely wasn't worth it. Guys, if you're hyped for part 2 where I make all of the assets, let me know in the comments down below. Let's jump into our comfy robe and get to some questions from the previous video. Question number 1 is from Exos7509. Will there be any sort of quests or missions? It will make the game so much fun and make people want to grind more. Guys, they're talking about the dream game. Yes, of course, there will be missions. There will be side quests, there will be secret areas, there will be, there's a lot. Yes, definitely missions. Question number 2 comes from user -PF1VZ for UW7Q. Have you hired any other builders for the dream game, or have you made the map all by yourself? Guys, I am horrible at a base layout and at Roblox terrain. So yes, I have hired another builder. His name is Frigidev, and he did all the terrain work, and I'd say 99% of the roads themselves in the game. If it's a building or a model or that's me. But the actual layout of the whole game, that was Frigid. Wow, are all these questions about the dream game? The last one comes from NW Hachel. What references have you used for maximizing your performance and efficiency of the game? Honestly, bro, I pick when I go to make something. So say I'm making a bus station, I just go on Google and type in bus station concept art, or bus station vectors, and just random. I just Google's my reference.